Are you curious why lot rent continues to go up, and why would someone ever pay lot rent as opposed to owning the land that your home sits on? I know you are, because I read it in the comments every single day. The truth is, there's actually a lot more to lot rent than just numbers on a page. I feel like in this industry, there's a lot of bad information, there's a lot of no information, and there's a lot of no information when it comes to several different aspects of the manufactured home industry. In today's video, we're going to be discussing lot rent, and more specifically, the secrets that park owners and park managers refuse to tell residents before they get started. But we'll save that for later. If you're new to the channel, thanks so much for coming and hanging out. My name is Mark. I work with a company called the Mobile Home Dealer. And over the last 5 years, our team has brokered over 600 homes throughout the manufactured home space. After this many sales, I feel like it is our duty and our responsibility to really push forward with the education into this space that otherwise is frankly just underserved. So, if that's of interest for you, let us know in the comments below what questions you have about lot rent to see if we can help you out as well. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the history of lot rent, just so you have a better idea of exactly what it is. Now, lot rent is going to be a payment that is made each and every month from the owner of the home to the park. So, if we're talking with hands, which I often do, if you own the house and your house sits on land, you are not going to own this land. You are going to pay for the lease of this land each and every month. Now, the next question is, well, how long do I pay for the lease? Well, friend, you pay for that forever. Every single month you will be paying for that lot rent. Now, Mark, why would I possibly want to do that? You have to own the land that your home sits on. Well, you can, or you can actually do it this way. And by doing it with lot rent, most parks are going to offer you quite a bit of bang for your buck on that monthly lot rent payment. Common features of lot rent include what we call the Big Five. That's going to be your water bill, your sewer bill, your trash bill, your lawn care, and the usage and the upkeep of the park amenities. Now, if you haven't been into some of these nice parks, I'm talking about the real nice ones, holy Toledo. They have a pool that will rival any Marriott. There's a park about 20 minutes from the office here, has an 18-hole golf course, has a driving range. There's one about 30 minutes the opposite direction that has happy hour every day at 4 o'clock with live music. It's not uncommon to have gorgeous grounds, security 24 hours a day, a gated entrance, a gym, a sauna. Heck, even some of them have a pool and a beauty shop. So when we're talking about lot rent, the key to know is what are you getting for it? If the park has nothing other than a gravel driveway, not getting much for that. But if the park is providing a pool, if it's providing the golf course, the gym, all of the social activities, heck, even some parks have a full-time social events coordinator who sets up a van, takes people to the beach, takes people to the mall, takes people out to their medical appointments, takes people to local activities, and it's included. The fees for such things are included in that. Well, imagine if you were paying for each one of those out of your own pocket. Goodness gracious. Think about what it would even cost to have that size of a pool, or to maintain it, or even pay the insurance for it. Whew, I'm getting exhausted just thinking about that. So the key is, before we get started any further, you've got to understand what lot rent is and what each park includes in the lot rent. Now, here's a pro tip when we're talking about lot rent, folks. Talk to the park manager or the park owner and get something in writing that goes over everything that the park includes when it comes to lot rent. That way, you can literally go through it and itemize it to see what that would cost if you had that in your own house on private land, or if it's not, frankly, worth it to you. I will push back and say, lot rent compared to having all of these items on your own property with you paying, you maintaining, and you insuring them, right out of the gate, it's going to be by far the cheapest option for affordable housing. Next up, we have to talk about the hidden fees that parks don't advertise. We're not yet to the secrets. We'll get there later. The first one is you have to understand that most parks are going to charge you an application fee to apply for residency in the park. Well, what does that mean? Well, glad you asked. That is going to be each park has some type of park application process. Generally speaking, each park is going to cover 3 items when it comes to the park approval. They're usually going to check the applicant's income, the applicant's credit, and the applicant's criminal history. Now, which one they weigh higher, lower, about the same? I don't know. We don't work for a park. You'll have to check with the park itself. But it's key to understand that there is an approval process, and that approval process will cost money. As a general reference, expect to pay somewhere between $50 to $100 per person per application to apply for a park. Put that into your budget so there's no confusion when you go to the park office to apply. The second one is going to be utility hookups. Now, I'm specifically referring to your power. A lot of people get flustered because if they change power companies, there's a power company hookup. They get frustrated that that's not included when they move into a park. Budget for that accordingly. Some parks will charge you a water hookup fee. Again, you will know if you're going to get charged with that in the detailed layout that the park gives you when you ask them about the application process. The next one will be to see if there are any pet fees associated with residency in the park. This isn't that common in the Southeast. It's very common on the West Coast. So all you California, Oregon, Nevada folks, make sure you take a look at that, because that's going to be something you really want to factor in. Usually it's a per month addition for that. Again, make sure you check with the park to see if that's an additional charge. Last but not least, if you decide to buy a home in a park and you own a share in the community, this technically is not owned land. This is just owning a share, much like a condominium. Many times people go that route and they get surprised when they then get billed on top of their HOA a quarterly assessment fee. These assessment fees can be a few $100s to several thousand. Always understand what is included in the lot rent, the HOA, and your assessment fee. Next up, let's talk about the big one. How and why do lot rents increase? Well, before we talk about lot rents increasing, we have to fully understand how manufactured home communities operate. They're a business as much of the time that we don't really want to talk about it, because it's our community, it's our friends. We know the lady at the park office. It's not a business, it's a park. Well, sorry friends, like anything, they have to make money in order to stay open. How do you think they are going to pay to clean the pool, to mow the grass, to take care of the marina, to run the dog park, to pay for those musicians at happy hour? How is that going to happen? Well, it costs money. So when you understand that a manufactured home community is a business, and the business is them collecting lot rent, then we can now take a step further and say, well, let's use the landscaper as a general example. We can all tend to agree that the cost of labor, the cost of fuel, the cost of mower tires, the cost of a belt on a lawnmower, all of that costs more today than it did 5 years ago. Just like if you have ever owned a pool and you hire the pool keeper out, we can all agree that the cost of salt, the cost of chlorine, the cost of brushes, the cost of fuel for everybody maintaining the pool, it has gone up. If the price of those goods and services go up in society as a whole, once they go up, they then those services have to charge more to their customers. The customer in this situation is going to be the manufactured home park. So the landscaper has to pay more for fuel, more for the work boots, and more for the tires. They have to pay more for that from their suppliers. They have to make their profit because they have to pay their employees and they have to feed their families. So then they are going to charge their customer because they got charged. That being the manufactured home community. Manufactured home community still has to pay for the power, the staffing, the landscaping crew. They have to pay for the insurance. They have to pay for the upkeep of the streetlights. So in order for them to pay for that, they then have to raise the lot rent to the residents. Many times people think that they can just buy a house in a park and get lot rent locked in for 50 years. Well, if I can't get it in for 50 years, I'm not going to buy the house. Well, friend, how many things do you know are still the same price as they were 50 years ago? And that's why lot rent needs to go up, and it continues to go up every single year simply because the value of the dollar is less. People get charged more, and they need to pass that bill on to their customer, and so on. So when we're talking about how much does lot rent go up? Well, that's a great question, and I appreciate you asking. Generally speaking, lot rent will go up more each year depending on how many amenities your park has. So here's an example. If you have nothing but a gravel driveway and that's it, expect that your park may go up somewhere between 2 to 3% per year. That's essentially just going to increase the property taxes or pay for the increased property taxes each year. Now, if your community has an 18-hole golf course, it's got a gym, it's got a karaoke bar, it's got everything else going on, going back to what I said about the landscaper, each one of those items is going to cost more each year to service and to maintain. Now, if you don't want the pool to look good and you want the yard in the community center to look like a goat pasture, then you're probably going to be able to pay less. But that's not why people move into these parks, especially the higher end ones. They want things that look pretty. They want the pool to work. They want the spa to work. All that kind of stuff is going to cost money to maintain. The easy thing to remember, less amenities, lower lot rent increases. More amenities, higher lot rent increases. As a general cheat sheet, the average lot rent increase for the entire nation is 6.2% per year. So if we're looking at roughly 6%, and your park has everything under the sun with amenities, might be a little higher. If you live out in a rural area, probably a little lower. Always budget for lot rent increases when you buy the home. Please, I beg of you, do not be like so many folks who buy a home barely being able to afford the lot rent. And then 3 years later, they don't budget their money and they have to sell their home because they can't afford it. Please, I beg of you folks, when you buy a mobile home in a park with lot rent, budget accordingly for a few years ahead. Now, when we're talking about insider tips, we need to talk about the secrets. The items that parks don't want you to know. If you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. Let us know in the comments below what you have learned so far. Now, when we're talking about the secrets, this is the meat and potatoes. Number one, many parks make their money, about all parks make their money, as we discussed, from lot rent. Very few parks make any money, if any at all, on selling homes. If you want to sell your home in a mobile home park with lot rent, and the office offers to sell the home for you, it's fine if you want to use them, but please understand that's not their business model. If you are still on the land lease, which is the document that you sign to pay the lot rent every month, you are legally responsible for paying the lot rent. We discussed earlier that a mobile home park's business is collecting lot rent. If you have to pay the lot rent every single month because your house is in the park, and you hire somebody who frankly doesn't care if the house sells or not, simply because they're getting what they want anyway, which is the lot rent, how motivated do you think they're going to be to sell your house? Something to think about. The next thing that you have to look out for with another secret is when parks offer free lot rent if the person buys one of their homes. Be very concerned about parks and tread very lightly if you see this. In Florida, it's very common when parks have homes they bring into their park, they can't sell them. That's a whole nother reason why they can't sell them. They can't get them sold. So then what they will do is they will say, hey, buy our house and we'll give you 6 months worth of free lot rent. Be very careful with that, folks. Just going to be upfront with you on that, because what will happen is many of these parks, they will give you free lot rent for 6 months. And then all of a sudden, they will not tell you when the next lot rent is owed, and they will increase the lot rent to next year's amount regardless of what month it is. So you will be paying the highest lot rent in the park, because the park who gave you the free lot rent is trying to make up for the months that they gave. On the flip side, think about that. If you're trying to sell your house in a park and you have a park who is selling a house and they're giving free lot rent, how can you compete with that? And is that a park you even want to live in if you want to go and sell your house eventually? Something to think about. Once your home is in a park, it's very expensive to move the home. Now, each state is going to vary. Most states now require the home to be moved for it to be 20 years old or newer. Now, a lot of times homes in parks, they can be that age or newer, but most of them are going to be older homes. Down where we work in the Southeast, your average age is in 1976. Now, the last time I checked, it's a little bit older than 20 years old. So when you buy a home, know if you get flustered with the park, it's going to be very expensive, if not downright illegal, to move the home out of the park. So when you buy a home, make sure you understand the park, make sure you love the park and love the area. Don't marry the house and then deal with the park. Love the park and then find the house. Next one is going to be the biggest secret I can possibly share with you. And that is going to be, don't always look for the lowest lot rent in the area. I hear it all the time in the comments. Mark, we need the lowest lot rent. Give me the lowest lot rent right now. I will tell you, friend, bad idea. Why is it a bad idea? Well, let me tell you. Before I explain to you why it's a bad idea, I will tell you, to avoid this major mistake, if you're looking to be in a particular city or area or county of a particular state, I highly suggest that you find 5, maybe 6 or 7 parks in that general area. Give them a holler, ask them what their lot rent is. Put it in your phone, put it on a scratch pad, put it on your forehead, like I do, however you want to do it. Make sure you write those numbers down. If you find a park that is significantly lower, and I'm not talking about $10 or $20, I'm talking about hundreds of dollars that is lower, that park is more than likely going to be bought by another investment company, because investment companies make no money buying parks if they can't increase the receivables of the park income. Again, mobile home parks are businesses, folks. They make their money off of lot rent. So if you are looking for parks and they're all lot rents are all $500 and you find one for $250, stay away. Stay away, friend, because you will buy that house and pay that lot rent right out of the gate at $250, but that park is going to get sold, and overnight, that park is going to increase their lot rent to the market standard, and that being $500. So if you find a park in an area and it's as much as you can afford and it's $250 a month and everything else is $500, and you think, man, I got a deal. No, you didn't, because expect at any point in time, you're going to get a notification in the mail that the lot rent is going to go up to market standard. The next item that you need to understand is, when do lot rents increase? Generally speaking, lot rents will increase once per year. Now, depending on what state you're in, lot rent increases need to be notified on 90 days notice to every resident. So if the lot rent is going to be due to increase in January 1, back it up 90 days. Roughly this time of year, October, September, that time is when you're going to be notified of the new lot rent. Always understand that when you buy the house. If you're buying the house in July and you like the lot rent in July, understand what we talked about earlier, that if the park has a lot of amenities, expect for it to increase just a few short months. Always keep that in mind. Now, as we finish things up, we talked about secrets, we talked about definitions. We need to now talk about how you can find the best deal on lot rents and set yourself up for success. Number one, As we discussed earlier, find all of the average lot rents in the area. If everything is plus or minus, say, $50 to $100 in the area, find the cheapest one and go there. That is going to be, generally speaking, your best bet. Number two, you've got to understand that more amenities requires more upkeep. More upkeep requires higher annual lot rent increases. If you don't think you're ever going to use the pool, if you don't think you're ever going to use the dog park, if you have your own car and you don't need a shuttle service to the grocery store, find a park that doesn't have any of that stuff. Find a bare bones park out in the middle of nowhere, and you will be shocked at how far your dollar will go. If you don't need those items, you don't need the pool, you don't need the 5 o'clock happy hour, but then you go and you purchase a home in that park, friend, don't be surprised when the lot rent increases more than you expect, simply because they will increase based on everything that is provided, and they need to cover for that. Next, look for smaller mom and pop style parks, or parks that companies only own a handful, maybe 3 to 5, at most 10. If you find those smaller mom and pop parks or smaller company parks, generally speaking, those parks are going to be much more sensitive to the lot rents in the general area, because those mom and pops and those family members, they live in the general area, they go to the local church, they go to the local gym, they go to the local shooting range, they know people, and they kind of know that in this area, $500 or $600 is about what people can afford. If you go to a massive conglomerate park, an ELS or something like that, parks or companies that have thousands of parks, you have to keep in mind, they don't have people local there. They're making their decisions based on the market, and that's it. So if your park is in San Diego, California, or your park is in Homestead, Florida, they're making their decisions out of their corporate office, which is in Chicago. They don't know anything that's going on in the general area other than what the other parks are charging. Now, if you want to stay in a large park, I'm not throwing shade on large parks. They're fantastic. They have the resources a lot of times to fix things a lot faster than the mom and pop parks. But the mom and pop parks, I have found, are going to keep their lot rents a little bit lower to the general area. So keep that in mind. The other item you want to take a look at is asking if there are any type of lot rent decreases that the park will offer. I know of a couple of parks that do that. They don't advertise it, but they do offer lower lot rent amounts if they need somebody to work in the park. An assistant park manager, a security person, a maintenance person, a landscaper. If you have the wherewithal to be able to do that, to swing a hammer, to do some admin work, I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I am suggesting it's definitely worth a question to the park office, the park manager, and that type of person there. If you can do any one of those jobs, you might very well have an opportunity at getting lower lot rent. So, as we wrap things up here on all the secrets and everything about lot rent, I hope this gives you a better idea of what lot rent is, what it is not, and why lot rent in mobile home parks is the last beacon of affordable housing in the United States. You have to understand, lot rents will increase each and every year based on the price of increase with service and labor and material cost. You have to understand that. Please don't immediately sit there and say it's not worth it if you don't understand what it is actually providing you. And last, but certainly not least, if you found any value in this whatsoever, we strongly would appreciate if you come on the journey with us here at the Mobile Home Dealer. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like on this so other people can see this information, and come along for the journey as we continue to bring you the best information in this industry that the industry has ever seen. As always, folks, thank you so much for coming on this educational video with me. My name is Mark. You've been with the Mobile Home Dealer. And as always, we'll see y'all on the next one.